Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Bristol Town Council meeting of November 1st. If you could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. We're going to start the meeting with a special presentation, and I'm going to ask the administrator if he could take the next step, please.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to recommend acknowledgement and an award to the Unity Park Group. Recently, they were given a designation and award by Preserve Rhode Island for the terrific project at 500 Wood Street, Unity Park. You're going to learn a little bit about the project and their dedication in improving the town of Bristol. They provided jobs, ongoing businesses, blue infrastructure in town, and it's just a remarkable success. And it's really a highlight in the state of Rhode Island, in New England. So I think there's a short little video clip, and without any further ado, I'd like to introduce the Executive Director of Preserve Rhode Island, Valerie Talmadge.
Thanks so much for having me. It's just such a great honor to talk about the Unity Park project. So, so fasten your seatbelts, will you? Do this. I'd like to tell you that I'm the Executive Director of Preserve Rhode Island, and we're a nonprofit that works statewide to advocate for historic places all around the state. And there are two members of my board who are my bosses in the audience, Jerry Daughtery and Chris Ponder. So performance reviews are coming up. So
So far, you're doing a great job.
okay. I thought I'd set the context for the video that you're going to see. Each year, Preserve Rhode Island celebrates the Rhodey Awards. We call them the Rhodey Awards for Excellence in Historic Preservation. And it's a competitive selection. It's actually quite a competitive process where nominations are coming from people and places and projects all around Rhode Island. And we have a jury, an independent jury that selects the 10 best projects that really demonstrate how important historic preservation is for community development, for the environment, for economic development, and how it's really a key strategy for Rhode Island. Now, as I said, when I was at the Rhodey Award celebration, we were in Westerly a couple weeks ago, where all of the award winners came together. I said, sometimes, you know, the world is on fire and it can seem sort of inconsequential to be celebrating something like historic preservation. It's kind of nerdy. What's it all about? But really, historic preservation is a strategy for communities to save the special places in their towns, to honor their heritage and their roots, and to really activate historic places so they become a vibrant and important part of today's economy and culture. And the other wonderful thing about the Rhodey Awards is that it recognizes that there are really good people. You know, the world is on fire. You know, it's like you read your news stream and you realize, you know, things look pretty grim. But with the Rhodey Awards, you realize there are really good people doing really exceptional work that make Rhode Island a better place to live and to work. So it's really an honor to kind of recognize that issue. And that brings me to the Unity Park project. So I thought that I would read to you what I said about Unity Park when I introduced this award winner. So if you ask the Harvard Business School, who makes a practice of studying this kind of thing, the following are the characteristics of an entrepreneur: curiosity, willingness to experiment, adaptability, decisiveness, self-awareness, risk tolerance, comfort with failure, persistence, innovative thinking, and long-term focus. And if you looked up entrepreneur in a Rhode Island dictionary, you'll find the definition is Joe Britta Jr. Unity Park is a unique adaptive reuse project because the team was laser focused to bring new life and businesses to this long troubled site. And when I visited Unity Park in the lead up to the Rotary Awards, in between taking phone calls where deals were clearly being made, Joe explained that his family business is in the utility construction, but he'd extended to turning around blighted properties. A lifelong Bristol resident, Joe assembled a team to turn around the abandoned industrial site in the heart of town. They not only took on the complicated rehabilitation of deteriorated structures, but, and this is what makes this such a noteworthy project, they built to suit and enticed business after business to locate at Unity Park, even helping to finance new business ventures. The turnaround was quick, classy, and astounding. And in combination with the Unity Park team, I also shout out the town of Bristol, represented at the Rotary Awards by your town administrator. And the town followed through on their pledge to help this turnaround work, making sure that town regulators and decision makers were allies and not obstacles in the process. And I encouraged everyone in the audience, we had about 250 people celebrating the Rotary Awards, to visit Unity Park, and it should be on everyone's bucket list who cares about activating historic sites. If you do yourselves a favor and plan an outing to a restaurant, a cafe, the brewery, the distillery, and the list goes on. And then the video.
When I first visited the property this past winter, I was really blown away by the transformation of what had been a dilapidated, unsafe, abandoned mill structure. And to see it be transformed, 176,000 square feet, transformed into this vibrant economic engine for the town was really amazing to me. And it had been done during a pandemic, privately financed, and creating 25 businesses and employing so many people.
We saw a need for a multi-purpose facility, one that would be a thriving center comprised of a variety of tenants. So we have some startup businesses that are here, some in the restaurant industry and some that are in the blue economy that are looking to grow.
Industrial parks are inherently very vehicular orientated. So when we got to Unity Park, it was paved edge to edge. Our, I think, critical challenge was to find a way to get people to navigate through the site. And for us, that was the creation of this main street that was the connective spine that brought patrons through the entire site.
The buildings here were in a state of disrepair for quite some time. We had roofs caving in, walls collapsing. So our most important thing was to try to save the buildings we had before we lost any more of them. We craned in new roof beams, we rebuilt walls, we repointed every brick and stone we touched.
And everything we did with restoration, even though there are some new products, new materials, because a lot of the original weren't even here, they were gone. We did everything that, again, was in the character of the original buildings to the standards that we have today. The other aspect besides historic preservation that I think is important, this project is also very much sustainable design. And what we wanted to do was take the sustainable and the embodied energy you're saving by preserving the buildings, but also in the windows, the doors, the roof, the different things we've done. We've been good stewards of these buildings to be sure that they're going to last well into the future
So in order for this adaptive reuse project to come to fruition, it not only had to be architecturally viable, it also had to be financially viable as well. So you need both. And an important part of this project is the pursuit of our federal historic rehabilitation tax credits, as well as our state historic preservation tax credits. These are critical elements in making this project successful.
As a result of Ed's discussions with the receiver and getting the approvals for us that we wanted, and the town wrapping their arms around us and trying to make this venture go forward as quickly as possible, we jointly agreed that we should call it Unity Park because everyone was working together for the benefit of the common good of Bristol. And that's where the name Unity Park came from.
Mr. Chairman, if we could have maybe perhaps Mr. Brito say a few words.
This is one of the rare moments where I don't have to say my name and where I live, do I? A couple of housekeeping things. First, the name Unity Park really started with my son, Chris. He was sitting around with his computer and we're trying to come up with a name, and knowing exactly what was taking place, the originator of that Unity Park was Chris, and I and Ed Cox jumped on with it, and that's how we all came up with it. So I wanted to make sure you know that. The other thing is, look around this room. I'm not Unity Park. You and they are. Without the town council, the zoning board, the planning board, the historic district commission, the fire chief, the police chief, everyone buying in on this and working hand in hand to make it work, it never would have happened. When Ed Cox and I met the receiver and we knew what the numbers were and what we were going to do, I wasn't going to go forward unless I knew that everyone was behind this, because this is the kind of project we needed. So though my name is on the credits here, it's each of you, and I want you to feel very proud about what you did and how you built this and how you worked together with us to make this all happen. So if anyone deserves a round of applause, it's the town council, the zoning board, planning board, historic district commission, Steve Contenti, the fire chief, and the police chief. You deserve that, not me. This is a true testament of how when you work collectively to make something work, it happens. And then there's one last person who has not gotten any credit for any of this and has put up with the long working hours and the tossing and turning in bed at night and getting up at 3 o'clock and making notes. And that's my wife, Betty Prideaux. All I can say is thank you for believing in us. Thank you.
I have a citation signed by this council, the administrator, and the clerk, and it summarizes what's been shared in this video. Just take a moment, and I want to give my colleagues a moment to speak too. We all sat here a few years back, and 5 years? 5 years back, look at that. And the property was in a difficult shape, to be kind. And for you and your team to have the focus that you did, but, and this is the key, is that focus is wonderful. Follow through is everything. And you can just go down there and see it yourselves. I mean, we've all, you haven't had dinner at Brick or have had a drink at the coffee place, right? At Borealis, or a drink at other places. It is not only beautiful, but for my own personal experience, my mom grew up across the street. She was one of 14 kids. My grandfather worked there. My uncles worked there. And I'm not the only one who has stories like that. And to have it preserved, have it holding history over our heads in exultation, right? And say, this is beautiful, this is wonderful, and this is what makes a big part of Bristol. And when you think of Bristol and you think of driving downtown, that opens that up. That is another shining gem. Blight tends to creep out. So does improvement. And you can see from Unity Park, the surrounding neighbors feeling that much more comfortable to improve their properties and knowing they'll get that return on investment. But more importantly, the pride of ownership, of being there. So that is, as I said, a shining gem. But I'd like to give my colleagues a moment to also share their thoughts.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, great words. It's hard to follow up with that, I think. I'll keep mine short. I'll just say that it was 5 years ago. I think it was one of my first town council meetings. This issue popped up, and I remember wringing my hands about it. And I don't think I could have ever imagined the level of environmental, economic, and cultural achievement that was made possible by this project. But you and your team did. And thank you for that.
I want to just say I was at Unity Park on Saturday night, and I was outside dining area, and I was looking around and I said, my God, look at all the smiling faces, everybody enjoying themselves. And it was really is embodying the next generation, future to come of Bristol, taking that sore spot of the town and changing it, making it a wonderful spot where everybody can enjoy it for years and generations to come. So excellent jobs. It's exceeded everybody's expectations. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I'm incredibly proud of that project. If Aaron's been dealing with it for 5 years, I've been dealing with it many more years than that in trying to figure out what we do with that, that site. And sorry, we're very, very, happy the way it turned out. I was personally so thrilled, and I'm sure I know my colleagues, when we heard that you were interested in buying it, and the work that you've put in there, not to mention that it was in the middle of a pandemic, to get that to come to fruition and being as exciting and diverse, and it's just a fun place where, I go to different places there all the time. We're so proud of you, Joe, that you being a Bristol person, take the interest in the town and in sites like this. And I'm sure your dad and your grandfather are so proud looking down of all the wonderful work that you do and the interest that you have in preserving our community. Not only your business aspect, but contributing to so many important causes and keeping projects like that going. So thank you very, very, very much.
Excuse me. I believe it's my turn. I echo all the comments that have already been made by my colleagues here. But I just can't stop inviting people into town. It says, have you been to Brick Pizza? Have you been to Unity Park? And people go, well, Unity Park? Yes, you're missing something here, It's with great pride to see what has transpired and what has happened in that complex. It certainly is a wonderful thing. And definitely it goes to the entire team. I know they mentioned you, Joe, yes, and you spearheaded, no question about it. However, there's a whole team that's been behind you, as you stated, not just the folks directly involved with you, but all of us. And we do stand behind the project, and we are very proud of it. So thank you for all that you've done, as well as the entire team.
Mr. Administrator? Things been covered. So if I could ask if you could all come up, and I'd just like to get a couple of highlights here in recognition of Unity Park's development of the 2023 Rhodey Award for Historic Preservation for Preserve RI, with unwavering commitment in Unity Park and the proficient support team in conjunction with cooperation of the town of Bristol. Unity Park has undergone a remarkable transformation. Congratulations to all of you. Nice job. Hey, Chris. Congratulations. Congratulations. Joe. Thank you. Very nice. I think Eric wants to get a picture. Eric would like to take a picture of you. come on in. Please. Mary can't say it.
I'm closer to Tony.
Perfect. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
you.
What an awesome project.
Yeah.
I mean, it really. Wish they all could be that way.
I know.
Thank you all. Madam Clerk.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Consent agenda.
Make a motion, do we approve it?
Second. Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the submission of minutes, and we have the town council meeting of October 4th, the town council special meeting of September 20th, and the executive session meeting of September 20th.
Motion to approve previous minutes?
Second,
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C1. This is ordinance 2023-19, chapter 16 to article 5 of the stopping, standing and parking. And this is it for a correction of ordinance of 2023-13 from east side to west side. This is second reading. This is also continued from October 4th, 2023. And I believe you have some updated recommendations in with the agenda.
Mr. Administrator, did you want to speak to those recommendations?
I certainly can. So the police department did go out and they did in a supplemental recommendation. Spoke with the bus company. This is after the information that was received at the last council meeting. And the recommendation is for 15 feet from the corner north of Dyer Avenue on the west side. 15 feet is in keeping with traffic standards, no parking from 15 feet from a corner. So that would allow approximately 35 feet for loading and unloading. The officer also spoke to the bus driver from the bus company. So the recommendation is to mark 15 feet from the corner, which was actually done last Saturday.
So it's already been,
It's been done.
it's already been
It
completed.
it doesn't require an ordinance because it's in traffic standard. There is no parking 15 feet from a corner. This would just kind of reaffirm enforcement in a public education that you can't park.
Thank you. You are the applicant, correct?
Yes,
Would
correct.
you- Would you please restate your name and address for the record?
Yeah, it's Jody Trigella, and I reside at 71 King Philip Avenue, Bristol, Rhode Island.
Thank you.
Sure. Your name and your address.
Yeah, it's Mark Trigella, 71 King Philip Ave, Bristol.
So you heard the recommendation from the administrator and our departments, and that recommendation came with clarification with the bus driver, right? So they concurred with what was being proposed. State and local law says you can't park 15 feet. We don't normally paint those corners, but I think we all agree and concur with the administrator's steps to mark that off even clearer, just for kind of a belt and suspenders approach to it. Does that, so what was being asked of us was a 20-foot section?
Yes, a separate one in front of our residence. Actually, I believe it's May 8th, we petitioned to have a no parking sign placed right in front of the residence due to our son's safety and his disability. He's an elopement, he's a runner. And we came to the meeting, the meeting was held on May 31st, and it was approved to have it done at that time. We knew we had to go through the second process It was approved. They came and they did it. When they did it incorrectly because they put it on the opposite side of the street. So they put that 20-foot block in of no parking, but it was on the wrong side of the street, which
So the
obviously
east
was-
side as opposed
Yes,
to the west
the
side,
east
correct?
side instead of the
Okay.
west. So
West
that was
side.
of no use. He would have to cross the street.
Yeah.
So at that point, we had called and we had said, you know, it's on the wrong side of the road. We needed it in front of the house. So they said, well, before we can take it down, I'm like, can we just like eliminate it and just put it in the correct spot? And they said, no, we have to go through the council and, you know, have that whole thing approved again, which took a little while again, which was fine. We understood that. And then we were told that it was approved. They came out and they painted the 20-foot block right in front of the residence, which was fine. They removed the one across the street that was incorrect. Everything was fine. We had it up maybe, I don't even know if it was even a week. We went out. I got a call from my son and he said, did you realize that the parking block was removed? And I had no idea. So I was like, I don't understand how the parking block can just be removed. We didn't have any notification. We didn't know anything was happening. We thought we were all set. I did call and I spoke, I believe, to Lori. And I let her know that, you know, I didn't understand what happened, why the block had just disappeared. And they told us that it was removed out of the request for another resident in the neighborhood, which at the time we weren't notified. We had no idea. This was probably done. We left the house at 11:30, so it's probably done right after that. And my son comes home on the bus at 3:20. So we were like, okay, you know, here's his safety. The problem is that they said, when I spoke to them, I said, I don't understand because, you know, it was approved how you can just remove the block. They said, well, it wasn't approved. So I said, well, the one across the street when that was first painted was done incorrectly, obviously, and we understood it was a mistake that happens. That was fine. But that couldn't be removed until it went through the proper channels. Again, delaying, but that was fine again with us. I couldn't understand why this particular block was just removed and we had no idea. We weren't notified. I had no understanding of what was going on. It's needed for our son. Our son is an elopement. His school base is based on his IEP, which is based on all safety awareness. He has no idea of traffic. He has no idea of cars, stranger danger, you name it, he has it. He has no awareness whatsoever. At all times when he's out in the community, he has to have a one-on-one. He doesn't understand crosswalks. He doesn't have any comprehension of any of that. So, and he's used to coming out of our house and going straight to the bus. The problem is with the bus and the driver, they don't want to kind of get involved in all this. They felt very uncomfortable with it, which I understand. He was very uncomfortable when he was approached about it. He really didn't want to get in the middle of it. He doesn't understand that road is constantly blocked with cars. At one point, my son had to actually go out in the middle of where Dyer crosses over with King Philip, and he had to be let out over there. There's no flashing lights on the vehicle. There's no, you know, you need to stop. So a lot of times people do just think it's a car and they try and pass around. It's a van. So they think it's just another van and they try and pass around because there's nothing telling them not to. So that's another big issue. So when we were told that it needed to be removed because there was another resident that was requesting it because of a problem, a medical problem, that they might have somebody coming to their house on occasion. My thing is, I understand that. If that block isn't there, then I'll be honest, there really won't be a place for a person to park there anyway, and they would have to park down the street because that road is very, very congested, extremely so, and so is Dyer. It's even worse.
So what I'm going to do, if I may, Mr. Administrator wanted to, you had some information It looked like you did.
Yeah, I
didn't it?
just wanted to
So,
explain
please.
the box that was painted last week.
Yeah.
It was lost on interpretation. The line painter painted 15 feet from the corner, and it was supposed to be a no parking box 15 feet at the corner. So the starting of the 15 feet of the no parking zone was 15 feet north of the corner. It should have started at the corner and ran 15 feet. So it was an error. It wasn't the 20 feet that was originally requested. It was the standard 15 feet from the corner. But he painted it 15 feet from the corner. So we immediately went back there and corrected that. That was really unrelated
it.
to the petition.
Okay.
So does that resolve this situation? I'm hearing the bus can now get there, but does this resolve the other parking issue?
Well, no, because it's on the corner
It's on the, okay,
and there's cars that park
right on that
right on
corner.
that side. They even park, there's no parking, even sometimes on the side, people will still do it. Like, it's a very, very tight corner.
Yeah.
So it's really hard for them to even get around. The problem is that with my son, he has no safety awareness whatsoever. So we have to make sure that, the safest place was exactly where it was placed. And that's why when we went and we petitioned the first time, I specifically made sure that the no parking sign was exactly in front of the house, which I felt would benefit a lot of people. I know there's times that medical tries to get through that street. They're unable to. I know in the past they had to do some towing because they can't get through that street. That spot can not only help my son, but it can also, God forbid, if somebody, has a medical issue and an ambulance needs to come through, there's at least a spot for them. I believe it's not only beneficial for my son, but for the rest of, the residents on that street as well.
For clarity, what's in front of this council is we're on a second reading, and the diagram, for lack of a better term,
Right.
shows a no parking box. Again, just for easy clarity, on the bottom left-hand side of the lot. So more specifically, it's on the corner of Dyer and King Philip. And that was what you were, and Mr. Administrator, what is the end result of the update? Where was that? Is that where it is now?
Yes, exactly. So the lieutenant had surveyed the area, spoke with first student bus driver, Chris Gallagher, regarding the bus stop. Mr. Gallagher stated that he has not had any issues with this bus stop and has no issues stopping on the roadway for pickups and drop-offs. It should be noted that King Philip Avenue measures 20 feet in width at that location. So after the review, he sums up and says that the combination of the 20 feet of Dyer Avenue, in addition to the 15 feet, that's 35 feet for drop-off and pickup. And he confirmed that with the bus driver. So
One
his
moment.
recommendation was just to mark 15 feet from the corner, which is in front of 71 King Philip Avenue.
One sec. And a typical no parking box is 20 feet. Am I correct with that? It can, well, it's somewhere around there. It's 15 to 20 feet, something.
Okay. Can I just ask how, I'm sorry, this sounds like a comedy of errors. I'm really apologize. Not sure, usually we don't have that happen, but so how far is it from the corner to your front door, let's say? How many feet is that? You're looking for the front door, right?
Well, yeah, I was looking for the middle of the front door so he can just go off the step and go right out to the bus. The corner kind of is dangerous, like I said, because there's people across the street that park in that spot. Sometimes people even park on the no parking on the next street, which is no parking. They come down Dyer, and then there's parking all along where we are. I know with the bus, he was very uncomfortable doing this. He really didn't want to get involved. We actually wound up taking some pictures when there was loads of cars actually out there and where my son was actually being left off, which was kind of right in the middle between Dyer and King Philip, which of course it's unsafe. People still pass by. Again, there's nothing telling them to stop.
But you originally, I'm just trying to like visualize, like you originally asked like 20 feet.
Right.
And then the
correct.
parking law, the
Says
rules
15.
are 15 feet from the corner. So
So you're
does
asking
that
for an
take you to
extra
the
5?
front of your house, like where your stair, like your
Well,
front door
yeah.
is, or no?
Well, yes, we're exactly where it was before, where they actually painted it, which was originally, the petition said, we were requesting a no parking sign in front of our home, in the front part of our home, because I didn't want it off to the side. Originally, when we had first come down, we had said, because we noticed there's a lot of no parkings around there. So we had said to them, you know, we live at 71, you know, we have a problem with our son, there's tons of parking, you know, we're having issues. So is there any way we can request having a no parking put right in the front? That was, you know, they told us that later on that, yes, that spot on the end was a no parking anyway. So they knew when we were requesting, it was an additional one. I didn't ask to have the corner ones on. I don't care if somebody parks at the corner. I just want to make sure my son is safe when he comes out that front door and he is not at the corner of Dyer and King Philip. That's all I'm asking. I never asked to have that.
So you
painted
know,
in the corner.
and go ahead, Mary,
I
please.
just want to follow up. So do you have a rough idea of how many feet we're talking about from the corner? So like exactly where it would be. So if it's already 15 feet prohibited parking from the corner, would it be another 5, 10 feet? Would it be another 50 feet? Like what would it
No,
be?
not fit.
know?
20, there was a 20-foot.
No, but she's saying from the corner to the front of our house. So
Yeah.
they have it painted at 15 right now, and then you probably
If-
have at least another,
5 or 10.
but
maybe.
maybe about another 10 feet.
So you're saying if we just extend the no parking box that's currently another 10 feet,
Well,
then
I-
we should,
Or just put another one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not,
You'd
yeah.
have
Yeah,
to
but we're
have
just-
you would have to have
yeah.
a box that would cover like from here to here. And then the corner, you wouldn't have to have the box, but the
No.
law would just be like that, you don't park there anyway.
Right,
Some
we
people
weren't,
might.
yeah, I
park.
wasn't
Right.
asking to have that.
One at a
done.
time, one at a time, please. One at a time. Thank you.
Yeah, we weren't asking to have that corner one painted or done. I was surprised because that's not what we even wanted. I just wanted to make sure when my son comes off that step, he goes right out to where it is, he gets in and he's safe. I didn't, you know, I didn't request to have it on the corner. I'm not looking to even keep it there. That's perfectly fine if it was removed.
So what's in front of us, just for clarity, is exactly what you weren't asking for. The drawing that you gave us
Right.
is in the bottom left-hand side of the property.
Okay, well, the thing
And
is.
that's
the-
not an argument with you. It's
Oh,
just,
no.
it's
I
what's in
didn't do
front of
that
us.
drawing. Actually, I didn't do
Oh.
that. What happened was when we came to petition and I had the petition.
Okay.
I had written out a statement, what we were looking for.
Yep, we have that.
And the reasons why. They had said, well, you have to do a drawing. And I was like, we didn't do a drawing. So when we were here, they helped us do a drawing. I'm not sure how they did it. I'm not great with that kind of thing. All I know is I made sure to say, when you do it, just make sure that it's in front of the property. That drawing was not my drawing per se. I didn't draw it.
Could we, I mean, if the council is inclined to want this in front of the house, so it doesn't have to come back again, could we, I don't even know if we legally can do it, but can we approve this pending the correct location? In other words, like, if it's another 5 or 10 feet, let's say. So we already got like that 15 feet, you can have a box or cannot have a box, because that's like the law, even though people don't always follow it. So we put that box there and that covers the front door. So that's what you want, like a little bit of
Yes.
space on each side. So your son goes right out, doesn't have to like,
Doesn't have to go near
just
the
worry
corners.
about it, gets into the bus. Can we like approve that so it can get done and without having to wait another 3 weeks?
Mr. Solicitor.
So the ordinance that's been advertised is actually for 20 feet. So you have 20 feet right now. So no problem with doing 20 feet. If there's a question as to whether or not 20 feet is going to get it to the front door, your next meeting is actually 2 weeks from now. You'd probably be better off just getting another measurement to see exactly where that is.
What I hear
Yeah.
the petitioners asking for is the center of their property.
Right.
Right.
And it's what we're looking at is a drawing of their properties in the center of Dyer and Platt, which is, so in the center, right in the center.
Correct, because
Okay.
because I don't want, there's another road there. There's a possibility he's right on the corner. He can just bolt that way. So it makes sense to put it in the center. So he's not close to the other side of the street. He can just come out his front door and it's like right there.
So, Mr. Solicitor, the way this was advertised was not what's being now requested. So are we okay? If we were to approve, can we approve this tonight legally?
If you go with the 20 feet from the corner,
But if it's 25 feet that's needed, you're saying that then we
Okay,
have to
so-
come back with the other 5
that's going to
feet.
be an issue.
In a disappointing but a correct way, and we need to advertise this correctly. So what we should do from here in this council, we can discuss it, but this was how it was advertised. Whether it was meant to be that way or was what you were ultimately looking for, this is how it was advertised. And I hear, and Mr. Solicitor, I'm not putting words in your mouth, you believe that it would be most appropriate to re-advertise?
I do, because right now it's very specific. It's 20 feet from the
From the
corner
corner.
of Dyer.
Yeah.
So it's 20 feet up, and I don't know
Okay.
where that 20 feet ends.
Okay. So advertised again correctly, it would, and clarity would be, so it was advertised correctly and it can come back in front of this council, would still be second reading, so it wouldn't require another reading. And we can then vote on it if this, and we'll get correct measurements, if you will. And so what we hear you saying for one more time for the record is the center of your lot, if you will, which would then, it's kind of, in essence, it's that your front door would align with it, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
because he keeps him further away from the other side of the street.
Okay.
So who will go out there, say tomorrow, meet with the petitioner and make sure that the measurement comes back correct? Like, would it be the police department or DPW or?
It's the police department, because the lieutenant handles that, chief.
Yes, we'll go out in the morning and address that. If it's the council's desire to authorize a no parking block to the middle of the property or what covers the front door under town ordinance 16-42, the police chief has the authority to designate an area as a no parking zone. If it's the desire of the council, and based on the testimony here, the solicitor agrees, we'll go out and measure that spot, and I will create a temporary parking block at that location under my authority under the town charter ordinance while we get the information back to the council and you can make a final decision.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay, that'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Is there any objection from this council of that course of action?
No, that's good.
No objection.
Yes, you can. Just one moment.
Can I-
You'll have an opportunity before I make a vote.
Can I just ask one other quick question? You made a reference that there were no lights on the van that picks your son up. Is that what you say?
Yeah, there's no thing to, you know how like the bus comes out and it says to stop? He doesn't have that.
Oh, like
So-
the gate, you mean?
Yeah,
But he has
the
the
gate,
flashing
so-
lights in the front, in the back and the front, doesn't he? I mean, I've seen a lot of vans that have that.
Yeah, no, I don't, I'm not 100% sure with that, but I know it doesn't come out. So sometimes people aren't really aware if he's come off the bus, because sometimes it's hard for him to just come right off the bus. He could be a little dysregulated. It might take him a few minutes to come off. So sometimes people aren't sure if he's off the bus, on the bus, or what's going on. Sometimes they'll try and get past. You know, it just makes it difficult.
I mean, I'm just curious for your own, like, especially if
Yeah.
it's for a student, like,
Yeah.
you know, to make sure, because I've been behind those kind of vans
Yeah.
where it says school bus or
Oh,
something
it'll
written.
say, oh, no, it says school bus, but he doesn't have the same accommodations where the, you know, the.
But he's got the lights flashing and he's supposed to, it's still illegal to pass that.
Yeah, but I don't ever see it flashing though.
Without the flashing, they should have the
Yeah.
flashing lights on it. They might
I
not have
don't
the gate
see-
that comes out.
Yeah,
You know what
no,
I'm
he
saying?
doesn't, I know he doesn't have the gate. I don't ever.
You might want to
really
check
see-
because you should, and you should probably request a van
And the-
like that.
Right, because the problem is too, again, it's a van, you know, and they're just not sure when he's coming off, if he's off. You know, sometimes we have to stand there for a little bit to coax him out. Sometimes unfortunately, people become impatient with it. They don't see him coming out, they try and get around. I just worry because he just does not have the capability to understand any kind of safety whatsoever. And that's why we brought him today, just so, you know, you can meet him and understand like where we're coming
We
from.
totally,
and why
I totally
we're-
understand. I just want to make sure that, like,
Yeah.
if there's a possibility for you to make sure it has that, and if
Yeah.
not, request it, because that's a big company and I know they have those kind of vans.
Yeah, I think some of them do. I've just never seen them use the flashers. We're usually out there at all times anyway, but just, just being so congested, it's just sometimes people just try and get around. I know sometimes there's been drivers that would be like, wait, or, you can pass us. I mean, they haven't really done that with him. So I've seen people try and like kind of get around to get out and kind of sneak out. So that's our concern, and just being so far into the next street where he can just kind of elope, because now there's another way to go, that's concerning to us as well. I worry for his safety.
Is there any other questions for the petitioner at the moment?
No.
Okay. Did you have any other questions for us at the moment? Obviously, this will
No.
come back in front. Okay.
No, thank
All right. I'd like to give,
Okay.
if you'd like to state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
My name is Patricia Steves, and I live at 74 King Philip Avenue. I have no problem with it being blocked off 20 feet from the corner for the child. That is not a problem. Where they're asking for it to be blocked off in the middle of their house, completely blocks off 2 whole spaces of parking on between Platt and Dyer. We only have 2 parking spots left. If they do that, for all the residents, 8 houses in that 1 block of parking. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's going to cut the street even more. They're worried about parking in front of the house. But when the town came Saturday to put the no parking there, and they left 2 spots open, which was great for the residents in the area, there was 2 spots open. Well, no one could park there because the residents at 71 took their vehicles out of their driveways and parked them in those 2 areas and left them there. There's still one still there. So they're worried about parking, but yet they still have vehicles in the front for their child. And I have no problem with the 20 feet back of parking. I've lived there for 45 years. We have never had a problem. My husband's been taken out by rescue 3 times. The rescue has never had a problem getting to my street or getting out of the street. That's all I'm asking. If you put it where they want it, you're blocking off a whole area. You're blocking off 2 whole spots.
Chief,
That's fine.
when you go out and you take a look, is it possible you could do your analysis like you normally do on the parking and so we have a better understanding of all this, or?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, well.
We'll take a look at the possibility of maybe balancing both, and it's X feet. And and there's only so much that we can do there. It's maybe there's the possibility it can be in front of the home, but not completely in front of the home. So it will address the request, but yet allow for an additional parking space. I do not know, but we're certainly happy to, of course, absolutely. So is there anything else from the council? Mr.
If I can
Go ahead.
point something out just really quickly, just because the council meeting is in 2 weeks, Chief, I'm just going to need that recommendation by no later than Monday so we can advertise by Tuesday, because it limits me a whole week. Okay?
Okay.
That's okay.
Tony?
It bothers me what I just heard, and I hope that's not correct. But if it is, in all fairness to everybody in the neighborhood, I'm hoping that's not a practice.
Can I speak for a second? I just want to show you something because I do have.
If it's brief, yes, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. She's concerned that there's cars there. The cars that are there, this is why we're here today. The cars that are there, I took pictures in front of my house. They belong to her tenants next door. Her tenants park in front of our spot so the bus can't come through most of the time. I've taken pictures showing their car is here and they have an empty driveway. So she's very concerned about.
Please share the information, but if
Yeah,
we could
so-
keep it to a
All right,
comfortable
so
level, please.
I do have pictures of
Thank you.
their car being parked because she lives across the street. She has tenants at 73. She has college kids. They park their car. The reason for all of this in the first place is because there's always cars parked out there. It's from 73. We had gone to their house when they were outside and we said to them, our son, comes on the bus, you see it every day. He comes in the morning, he comes home in the afternoon, he goes in the summer program. I said, can you at least make sure, nobody's parked there so the bus can safely pull in the front of the house? They said, no, we have a right to park wherever we want. We had tried to work that out with them. They turn around now and they take the cars that are in their driveway and line it up in front of our house to block. And their driveway is completely empty. And I have pictures of it. They could, right.
Okay.
So that's what's
Okay.
frustrating to me. But when she says cars, the cars that are there are her tenants' cars. That's why she has a problem with it, because they have their college friends and their girlfriends coming over and they're blocking that way. And now it's like limiting by putting that there. So in turn, she doesn't want it there. It makes no sense. I don't want my son on the end only because I'm afraid for his safety. That doesn't have to be there. I just need it. There'll still be spots for other people to park on both sides. I just need it in front for his safety. But when she says cars, I made sure, because I knew this was going to happen, and I made sure that I took pictures to show that it's the kids next door and they have open spots in their driveway and they're doing it so my son can't have a place or a safe place to transport to and from school, because 99% of the time they're always home.
Okay, thank you.
Well, can I just make this is maybe not appropriate for me to say, but I'll say it because I live downtown here and it's always busy. And parking is always at a premium too. I mean, the 15 feet from the corner to like where there's no parking. I mean, people do park in those areas and they don't always get tickets. I mean, so in theory, I'm not going to encourage anybody to do it. I mean, somebody could park in front of this spot,
right?
And just leave that middle section that would be blocked off. I mean,
right.
It's technically illegal, but that means somebody would have to be calling the police to like go down there. They're like rotating down there every single minute.
Right. And the thing is, they do park there, and I've never called or did anything as long as it didn't affect where my son was going out to get his transportation. They do park there. They actually at times would park the whole thing and there would be nowheres. But when they do park there, I've never called, I've never said anything, because at least my son, if he had that proper spot to be able to transport and get on his bus safely, that's all I cared about. So it's not, I'm not trying to limit. They would have the other side too. They can park on the other side too. It's just that one spot that I want just for him.
So I think we need to move forward here.
Okay.
But I think the point that was made was there's 15 feet on both sides. So if for example, you have Platt Street on one side of your property, Dyer on the other, and if you've got 15 feet of no parking on either side, that's in essence removed most of the parking that can be in front of your home. So it's not a request or not, it's just the reality, right? So if you have no parking in the middle and no parking on the sides, that means no parking at all. So but here's what we said we were going to do. The police chief is going to have his people go out, take a look, come back to this council and suggest some appropriate next steps to address what you've requested, but yet balance the need for parking in the neighborhood, right?
Right,
So-
and that's fine, because I know
Okay.
when they put that spot in originally, from where they painted, going down to 73, there was a spot there for a car. It never limited them, never. And I don't mind, that's fine.
So we'll take the next step and this will be back in front of us in 2 weeks with hopefully the final plan.
Yeah.
Mr. Solicitor, what's our, we just continue it to the next meeting?
I would continue the matter to your next meeting.
Okay, can I have a motion to that effect?
Motion to continue to the November 15th meeting.
Second.
We have a motion made by Tim, seconded by Aaron to continue to our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is C2. This is ordinance 2023-20, Chapter 19, Article 1. And this is to prohibit areas and rules in governing peddlers, hawkers, and itinerant vendors. And this is to include itinerant vendors and mobile food establishments. Second reading.
I make a motion, we consider this second reading.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary, that this constitutes second reading. Any discussion?
Thank you, Madam Clerk, for the updates.
Yeah.
Appreciate you doing that.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is C3. This is ordinance 2023-21, Chapter 17 to Article 2 of the Alcoholic Beverage Establishments. And this is to decrease the number of Class BV limited licenses from 9 to 7. First reading.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony. This constitutes first reading. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is C4. This is ordinance 2023-22, Chapter 16 to the Article 5 for stopping, standing, and parking. And this is for Charles Street, north side, extending 66 feet west. First reading.
Make a motion to consider this first reading.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Tim. This constitutes first reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
The next item on the agenda is D1. This is Paul Denise from Destiny's Hometown Diner, 24 Gooding Avenue. This is a request for a liquor license, and this is for a new location.
I make a motion, we
You
approve
said
it.
liquor license. Did you mean
Is this a
liquor?
Vitrilling.
Yes.
Did I say liquor?
Yes, you did.
I was like, oh, I missed that.
My
Like,
tea
Sorry,
is
Paul.
not strong enough.
Sorry. I'm sorry I caught it.
it's like,
Vitrilling,
oh, I missed
vitrilling.
that.
Maybe in the future, but
A
not now.
mimosa. Sounds kind of nice.
After the meeting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary to approve. Is there any discussion? Paul, would you like a 20-second commercial? You sure? So, well, I'm going to do it for you then, because you're currently on Gooding Ave. You're going to stay on Gooding Ave, but you moved a couple of doors down to expand the business, right? And cook that much more home fries for all of us, right? So, outstanding. All right. Any other, you got it. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is D2, and this Yong Lee Ren, New Lucky Garden, 576 Metacom Avenue, unit number 17. This is a request for vitrilling license, and this is under a new name and new ownership.
Great over pronunciation. Madam Clerk.
Based on all the positive recommendations, make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to approve. Is the owner here? No? Would you like a 30-second commercial? Gonna pass? All right. Unfortunately, I can't do one for you yet, but I will once you open. How's that? So, all right. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Good luck.
Good luck.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is F1, and this is Carol Kronowski, 9 Fenmore Road. And this is request to finish and pave Fenmore Road. And I just want to note for the record that there was a memo provided by Beta summarizing the impact of the extension of the pavement. Let's
Thank
receive that
you.
meeting. Thank you.
So Diane, or Mr. Administrator, I'm not sure who you'd like to, can you just summarize where we are at the moment in the request?
I can begin to, because I can bring the perspectives from the departments. We are in agreement that the
Thank you.
road should be completed. It would help our trash collection, snow plowing, the fire department's in agreement to continue the road through. Our reservation was pending a study from our consulting engineer, which we got yesterday, and it was included as a late item. So you'll see that the only problem is
Thanks,
the current collection system, storm drain collection system. It's a 10-inch corrugated pipe that handles 2.3 cubic feet per second. And right now, during a 10-year storm, we're averaging 6.3 cubic feet per second. So we have an undersized storm system in the area. Our concern and the engineer's concern is flooding on Brookwood Road. They report that, and their recommendation would be if the council so chooses to continue the road, that it be kept to 15 feet in width. Anything more than that would lead to flooding along Brookwood Road. So there's also a conceptual cost analysis, $65,000, which would have to be budgeted for. The 15-foot width would mean we could only do for that portion of, for Fenmore, you'd have to have a one-way. It would be recommended to be east to west. So it's an improvement. It's an egress. Most of the vehicles would have to, if you're going to exit, you'd have to exit out on Brookwood and go up Vales. But it can be done, but the storm system won't allow anything larger than a 15-foot wide road. And in addition, there would have to be swales on both sides to capture that additional impervious roadway. So
For the
whenever-
non-engineering at heart, a swale.
So it's like a ditch, like a wide, so on the north and on the west side of the 15-foot road, there would be a ditch to catch some of that additional runoff. They don't want to add any more runoff. They believe it'll flood Brookwood Road.
So,
But we are in agreement. We can certainly do it, the 15 feet wide, but it'd have to be a one-way.
the administrator and I were on a phone call yesterday with the engineer. And one of the questions that was posed, and then Diane, you actually got clarity on it today, was, does it have to be all one way? And the answer that we just found out this evening is no, meaning the current paved area of Fenmore can stay two-way, and the improved section would be the only section that would need to be one-way, because the current section is wider than 15 feet. So it would allow both, right? So the residents currently using Fenmore, nothing would change. It would be the improved section, if you will, that would have to be one way because it's a 15-foot road. But as the administrator pointed out, it would allow for easier trash collection, obviously fire access. And we've got some pictures in front of this council of turnarounds for different delivery trucks, Amazon, such and so forth. So kind of making the point that having a throughway makes sense. I'm familiar with this area. I think we all are. It's a very quiet area, but a car going twice is a lot more than a car just going by your home, right? It doesn't have to turn around. So the request in front of this council is that we pave or finish this area. What was found appropriate is a 15-foot wide because of, as the administrators expressed, water runoff, drainage, long story short. So I'm in favor of this. I like the recommendations that we got. I would have preferred a wider road two-way, but if that is not accessible dollars wise, that's, and from talking with the engineer, it was prohibitively expensive, and I'm being kind. And 65,000 is a lot of money, but it would be exponentially more than that. What I would ask, if this council concurs, is that we approve if we agree, and that we maybe work this into no more than 3-year budget, meaning that if we can do it next year, great, but if no more than 3 years out, that we would complete this, because we have to budget for all this. This is additional money that we weren't planning on spending. Council?
Mr. Chairman, I'm in support for all the points that the administrator and yourself have pointed out. I think it makes a lot of sense. So I'm happy to make a motion, but I'd like to hear what my other colleagues think.
Oh, I think I think we should do it as well. I agree with you on that. And if this is the way we have to keep it in order to minimize more impervious surface, then that's probably the way it would have to be, still be better than what we have now.
Yeah, now my mic on. So the question I had was this sort of, if we pave both sides, it'd be a 30-foot road, right? I imagine 15 times 2, you just double it.
Current road is 20 approximately.
Or if we were to do the full thing. Oh,
see what I mean? So the existing condition, approximately, because it actually goes in and out a little bit, call it 20 feet.
Okay, so then if we only do
15
feet, then we're going to be in good shape. I wonder if we're going to even be in good shape if we have a 10-year storm, if we have 15 feet versus the 20 feet, like, I guess.
Well, I think the other point that the engineer made, if I can jump in, is that the 15 feet allows us to have the drainage swales on either side of the road. It gives you the room to create the green infrastructure.
To keep the runoff from,
Right.
thank you.
So
That
it'll slow
clears
it down a little
everything
bit.
up for
It'll
me
slow
then.
it down a little bit. Yeah.
Diane, when we do an improvement like this, it's normal course of action for us to do a survey too.
Correct.
What the council has for maps in front of us, the overlays, it looks like the properties are actually encroaching on town property. Diane was quick to point out to me that they're quick overlays. So it would require an actual surveyor to go out and make sure that things are not on town property. So, and you were pretty confident that they probably were not. It was just the way the maps were showing, right? So,
Well, the only way to tell for sure is to have a survey, and that cost actually was included in your budget estimate.
perfect.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Tim, you were going to make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to install the pavement, a 15-foot connector from Fenway Road to Brookwood Road with the based with all the recommendations and the swales that are included in that that project.
Second.
So,
And if-
could
And
you
it's
also-
also it would be spread over
so
3
we could
years.
consider it in one of the 3 upcoming budgets.
It would be considered in the upcoming
And to be completed by that. That's all right.
upcoming
Is there a
budgets. Does that
second?
work?
Yes, second.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a comment.
Discussion, go ahead.
No, I certainly concur that this is something much needed in the area, and certainly will make it easier, not just for our departments, but just a matter of safety as well for the neighborhood there. So certainly I'm encouraged to vote in favor.
Thank you.
Awesome.
If you could state your name and address for the record,
I'm
please.
Daniel Leeser from 12 Brookwood Road. So I read all the meeting minutes and stuff coming into there. Obviously, you have a lot of new information that I was not aware of. So I came in here to express my hope that the road would not be paved. I think my main concern was the drainage and the expense associated with mitigating all that. So the fact that it's going to be a 15-foot road mitigates it. $65,000 seems a lot of money to me.
It is a lot of money.
That, is it worth doing for this relatively small section of road? There's 3 houses on Fenmore right now with the turnarounds and the concerns, and I get that, but it just seems with all the financial aspect that the town's going through and the concerns with the schools and stuff, is spending $65,000 to pave this relatively small section of road. Is that worth it? So certainly I like the fact that it's one way and that you're not going to have to do hundreds of thousands of dollars, but that's coming in here. That's what I thought it would probably be. But with this other information, I'm still kind of opposed to it, but I think it's a great solution that you've come up with. But I just wanted to express my opposition to it.
Thank you.
And those swales that are going to be installed are really going to mitigate a lot of any of your flooding concerns. So that's really going to help.
Yeah, but
You
it's
know,
been flooding on Brookwood or on Fenmore?
on Fenmore
Right.
coming down. The photos that we have, you can see the amount of water that's just pouring down that
But
street.
my
onto
concern is the Brookwood side, which wouldn't affect me, it would affect my neighbors.
Mhm.
But people across the street, if they have French drains around their garage, and if some pump's not working or the French drain gets clogged with leaves, which has happened, they got 4 feet of water in their garage because it just was too much water for it to come around. So
Mhm.
I understand with the swells on Fenmore, but Brookwood is a big deal. You just repaved Brookwood for a second time because there was puddling on Brookwood, and that has all to do with this water management.
Mhm.
So I'm just concerned about Brookwood, the water management, and the costs associated with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other discussion from the council? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Was there something I asked, but I'm going to give you a moment just to speak. We have voted, but I will please share you need to state your name and address for the record, please.
Rinaldi, I own property on Fenwell Road.
Okay.
10.
What's the address, Fenmore?
10.
Thank you.
10 Fenwell. The question is, you're gonna have 15 feet down at the bottom of the road. Now, if an average car, if a car parks on that road on the side, that's gonna take average around 6 feet. That's gonna leave 9 feet for a fire engine and emergency vehicles to get by. Is that correct?
I don't know how to answer that because right now they can't get by. Right? So there's no pavement right now that they could get by.
Well, there isn't an emergency. There is no pavement there, but it was always supposed to be left open to be able to have a fire engine access the lower part of Fenwell Road if it has to. And that's because the 2 fire hydrants that are on Brookwood are the hydrants that would supply a fire truck for a fire on Fenwell Road. The other 2 hydrants in the area are up on Duffield, which is quite a ways away from the road. So the access to be able to get to Fenmore if it's going to be reduced down to 15 feet, and if there's parking on at least one side of that road, that's going to leave 9 feet plus a swale for an emergency vehicle to get by.
So the question is, I'm sorry.
Well, the question is that enough for an emergency vehicle, and have we gained anything by doing this? Is that enough for an emergency vehicle to get by?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Administrator.
Yes, so what happens is when in our preliminary designs, it goes out to the departments again, and they would make a determination. There may be a no parking area, there may be a grassy strip like some roads have where the apparatus can straddle the apron. So that's all part of the design. And it goes back to the departments to give a recommendation to the engineer. So it'll all be engineered to accommodate the traffic on the 15-foot road.
Mr. Administrator, you answered that question so much better than I ever could.
Okay.
But I am warning the residents, it may be no parking. I'm not.
Yeah, it
sure,
may
but
end
it'll-
up being
it'll
that
all be
way.
determined
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
But
Which is-
it's still an
we d-
improvement for apparatus because I know they avoid at all costs getting stuck in mud and going off asphalt. So it wouldn't have been ideal right now anyway, especially in the spring and fall.
Which I think, sir, was maybe also your point of not parking on that section too.
Yes, that
Okay.
was, but
Okay.
as far as putting no parking signs, you have pictures there that have been submitted to you that there wasn't supposed to be any parking on that. Well, this cars are parked in the middle of it anyway. Now, signs tell people what they're not supposed to do, but it doesn't stop them from doing it. So again, by reducing the size of that road, you're also creating another problem about having to worry about enforcing no parking signs.
I have a lot of faith in the police department. What I would ask that you do is if you see an issue, a reoccurring issue. Now, we all see something that's wrong and maybe a little bit of flexibility, good neighbors, such and so forth. Chronic issues maybe is a nice way to put that. Then I'm sure the police department would, and Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong here. Then they'll be responsive to chronic issues and probably one-offs too. But I know that you strike me as a reasonable person. I would imagine that a one-off is not what you're talking about. It's a reoccurring occurrence, right? Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So what I would ask that you do is what was in front of us with multiple signatures is that, yes, please take the next step here. We weren't looking to improve this section. It was not by our prompting. Now asked to do it. It seemed appropriate. We have positive recommendation. This was the part I was asking you on is I have faith that our departments will come back and ultimately design something that is safe and address the issues that you've expressed. If they don't, we'll have another discussion about it.
Very good.
How's that?
Thank you.
Of course. Of course. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I want to see those minutes afterwards.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G1, and this is Bristol Planning Board. This is one unexpired term set to expire April 2025. And we have a letter of resignation from Armand Bellotti. And then we also have two interests of being elevated to full member, one from Richard Ruggiero and one from Michael Souza. And then we also have a couple interests in appointments, one from George Duwa, one from Meyer and Page, and one from Jesselyn L. Durest.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept Armand Bellotti's resignation with a letter of thanks for all of his years of service and to appoint Richard Ruggiero to fill the vacancy.
Second.
Motion made by Tony, seconded by Mary. As stated, discussion.
Can I just make one quick comment?
Thank
And
you.
it's not exactly on this point, but very close. It's really kind of sad. This is the second board member that we've had just in maybe like 2 months that has had to resign from a position because they have to move out of the town. You know, the downsizing and not able to find a place in our community to continue living. And I just think that's kind of sad situation. So I just wanted to make note of that.
I'm glad that you did that. It's the state of affairs right now where house prices are tremendous. For clarity, so the motion was to appoint Richard as a full member, and we should also, is Michael the second alternate? Am I right?
Yes.
with that?
Yeah, do we elevate him to the first alternate?
I was just going to suggest that to
Yes.
Tony if
Okay.
that,
Yes.
okay. So I heard that as a motion, Tony?
That's correct.
Excellent. And I heard a second from Mary
Yes,
too.
absolutely.
Outstanding. Is there any other discussion on this?
And
Mr.
we
Chair-
will set up interviews, sorry.
That's
Councilman.
exactly what I was gonna say.
Perfect.
I was gonna say, well, for the alternate
So
positions,
maybe
right?
that we have a chairman that's like a Mary whisperer.
Spooky.
Aaron whisperer.
Spooky, spooky. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
So we are advertising.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Yep. Madam Clerk.
We're going to advertise and set up interviews? 'Cause
Yes,
I-
we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G2. This is the Historic District Commission. This is 2 unexpired terms set to expire July 2025. And we have Michael O'Loughlin, 114 Constitution Street with interest in appointment.
And I don't believe we have interviewed
You
this
have
gentleman.
Not as
right?
far as I know.
You have not.
And I would just say, we already said that we need to set up interviews, so I would include him as part of the interview process.
That was an outstanding motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing
Just-
none, all, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, just due to HTC business that I have in front of them, I have to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay. So we had a motion and a second to set up interviews for this one of 2 open positions. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is G3. This is Rogers Free Library. This is 2 unexpired terms set to expire January 2024. And we have a recommendation from Al Warblensky, the chairman of the Rogers Free Library. And the recommendation are for 3 members. One, all seeking interest in appointment is Kara Cromwell, Anne Marie Sylvia, and Carolyn Jacobus. And then there is also a list of interested applicants as recommended by the council.
Make a motion to set up interviews for the first 3, as stated by Madam Clerk.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to interview the 3 recommended candidates. And also, and I know you meant this by your motion, to thank all of the interested parties who expressed interest and took the time to interview. This council appreciates it.
We do. Well said. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I see Al Roblowski's here. I had a quick question now that you might be able to answer real quick. You often list 3 recommended applicants for the positions, and I notice that you don't have them in alphabetical order or anything like that. Do you have them listed as is the first one your most preferred one with the highest score on the rubrics that you guys are using? Okay, so you've given us your recommendations in the order in which you would have.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Good question.
Outstanding. Any other discussion? Before we make this motion, we have a lot of interviews. It's probably not appropriate to have them all at our next meeting. If we had to express greatest need, the way I'm seeing this is we have a couple of alternates who are very important, but it is not slowing down the process for our boards on those alternate positions.
Yeah.
Is it Rogers, the library is in the greatest need of, would you say? So why don't we put that as a priority for setting up the interviews for the next meeting? Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All positions are important, if I wasn't clear on that, but if the greatest need, I'd like to address that first. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Before we go any
Thank you.
farther, this council appreciates the efforts and the energies of our boards and commissions. The people are involved to make Bristol a better place. It is only as good as it is, and it's only getting better because of the volunteerism, and this council appreciates it. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may say, I know you said that every meeting, and it certainly is important for us to stress that we cannot stress enough the volunteerism in the town.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is H1. This is Susan Proto, 245 Chestnut Street, and this is a request for no parking on the south side of Chestnut Street adjacent to her mailbox. This was continued from October 4th, 2023. I just want to note for the record that The applicant did provide a withdrawal of their petition at this time since a solution had been agreed with the post office with the assistance of the Bristol Police Department.
Motion to receive and file?
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony to receive and file. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the council, the next item on the agenda is H2, and this is the draft resolution of the town of Bristol for the formation of the Bristol 250th Commission.
Mr. Administrator, thank you for your efforts on this. It's a nice encapsulation of all of it. What's council's pleasure?
I say to accept the recommendation of the administrator and what we do, like the composition of this group as stated, and then to advertise for the council appointments and the other public members.
Mary, would you remind everyone how many council appointments we have?
It says here 3 from the council, and we would appoint 3. And then the administrator would appoint 1 with our consent. And there'll be another one. Oh, yeah, so they're all, we're gonna do all of them. I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were all confirmed, so 3 are appointed
Yeah,
by
we're
the
gonna
council,
appoint all
but
of
the other
them
ones are
from those
confirmed by the-
organizations,
by
though.
the council.
But we'd have to ask who wants to be from there, those organizations then, right? Okay.
Yeah, or get their recommendations, right?
Yeah,
That would be outstanding. Excellent. All right. Is there, I'm sorry, did we get a motion
And
on that?
adopt the resolution, right?
So
adopt the
moved.
resolution.
So Tim made a motion to adopt the resolution and
Second.
I thought that's what I
As-
did.
Mary did.
Mary did and
Oh,
Tim
she
I did, but I
seconded.
kind of
Seconded.
messed it up a little bit,
She
but
did.
yeah.
Okay.
Mary
She did.
made a
Tim
motion.
seconded.
I
We good.
knew exactly what you were saying.
Outstanding. So
Mary.
Mary made the motion, Tim seconded. Any
I
other
messed it up a
discussion?
little bit, but that's okay. It doesn't
All
really
right.
matter.
No, you're perfect. You could.
All in
Go back
favor?
and
I'll
count
do
how
it.
many times I
All
do
right,
that.
You got it.
Any opposed? Thank you. Keeping it moving.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I1, and this is the public notice from CRMC, and this is in regard to the Russ Ross Realty PO Box 656 for 125 Thames Street, Bristol. This requires response by November 4, 2023. There are 2 recommendations, one from the Harbor Master and one from the Department of Community Development.
Diane, did you want to speak to the community development portion, please?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this is for the Bristol Yarn Mill. The proposal includes the public walkway behind the building, the drainage on Constitution Street, fixing the seawall at the outfall, and the connected walkway from the Elks to the Manny Souza Park behind the Maritime Center. And for-
Only in Bristol, we have
Manny
Manny
Souza
Souza Park. I love that. I really do.
So because of that connection to town property, the town is actually a co-applicant in this application to CRMC. So I see no reason to object. I do want to call to your attention that the CRMC is requiring the applicant to designate or have designated 2 public parking spaces for the public to access the boardwalk. If the petition is approved by CRMC as presented, then I think the council would need to designate 2 parking spaces, and they're on the north side of Constitution Street, down at the end, opposite the Coast Guard station, would be nearest where the walkway would be in. So if the CRMC application is approved as presented, then I think you'd have to direct the solicitor to prepare an ordinance for that parking for the walkway.
Diane, so those 2 parking spaces, it would be proposed that they are no parking forever, just for this? What are we talking? Are we talking 8 to 5? What was the proposal? Do you recall?
I don't know if there are specific time limits, but I believe that there is some resident parking down there, so I don't think you could make it exclusively resident. I don't know what the mix would be, and I will find that out for you before the time comes to designate those
So,
officially.
Mr. Solicitor, if we were to refer this to you, can we do that in a way that if approved, then to create an ordinance?
Absolutely. If approved, I'll just go ahead and I'll be in touch with Diane and we'll make that happen based upon when CRMC has their votes.
And Diane, you don't need a motion besides a receive and file from us? So tell me what you need from us on this. Oh, no, we're a co-applicant. I apologize. So what do you need from us on this?
Well, I have no objection. I mean, if you want to send a recommendation in support,
Yes, we do,
or
because we want to see
no
that walkway
objection.
completed.
Yeah, we do.
Right?
Right. So it would be a recommendation to CRMC to approve the application as presented.
And then additional to that is refer to the solicitor to create an ordinance if this is approved.
Correct.
Is there a
So
motion?
moved.
Perfect.
Second.
Discussion.
So Diane, this is just 2 public parking spots. It doesn't matter what people are using them for or anything like that. They could be using them for the, I guess, the boardwalk or whatever.
Well, they're supposed to be specifically designated for parking for the boardwalk. And I think we tried to make the case with the applicant that and with the CRMC that there's parking all over and there's ways to access the boardwalk at many different places.
And how do we
But-
verify?
Right.
There's no way.
Do you
You'd have
twist
to
the
almost have to put
boardwalk
like
and
a
then go
time
walk
limit.
downtown? Or-
So I think I'd like to also, maybe if you could refer it to the harbor master as well, because I know he enforces parking down there. So maybe we could work together and CRMC with the solicitor and come up with something that can be enforced. When
That's a really big motion. Anybody have a problem with
No, I think it
it?
would end up being a time thing, a time limit.
The whole key.
A time limit to time.
It could be.
I'm honestly not familiar with what CRMC will want to have, how they want to have these appropriately designated. I just know that they've asked that we
Okay,
designate.
so the idea is that like if somebody wants to like go fishing or something like that off of the marina or something like that, walk down the boardwalk, that they'll be able to have a couple hours or something like that to park. And is that
The
kind of
question is,
idea
we don't-
behind this or?
I don't think we know, to
We
be
don't
honest.
know.
So,
Yeah, okay.
wow, that's.
I will find out.
Okay.
So maybe we should hold off referring to the solicitor.
Yes.
Because we don't know what we're referring yet. We're in support of potential parking here, certainly of the application for the public
Drainage.
boardwalk.
Yeah.
Right, and the board and the drainage.
The
thank you,
drainage
Tim.
improvements.
Right,
public parking,
exactly.
right.
All right, and we'll hold off on the solicitor. So if we could amend the motion to remove that the solicitor portion of it.
Okay.
And we'll include also getting input from the harbor master in
Okay,
regards. to-
and I can
how's that?
report back when I have more information.
Perfect.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I2. This is Director Williamson, and this is in regard to advertising for amendment to the zoning ordinance per state law. This would be first reading, November 15th, public hearing to be scheduled for December 6th.
So this is on our agenda as normal process because of advertising aspects, is that
So
correct?
this is abnormal. Normally, it would be first
Abnormally
reading.
normal?
Abnormally normal. So I believe we're pre-requesting the advertising to go out before the first reading to allow for that public hearing on December 6th because of the state
way
law
everything-
requires it to be advertised 3 weeks. And then if we don't have the public hearing on December 6th, then the public hearing will be scheduled to December 7th. And if there is any dialogue during there and they have to change it, it now goes into January
Push
after
the
the
date.
state law has
Got
passed.
it.
So it's trying to eliminate that. So we're just trying to fast forward the approval of advertising, but still go through first and second hearing.
So we just need to constitute first reading.
So we just need to approve and authorize the
Advertisement.
public hearing, the advertising of the public hearing for the amendments of the zoning ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Very wisely done.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Uh-oh. That's,
The next item on the agenda is I3. We have Harbor Master Marsili, and this is for recommendations for the revision of harbor fees. And there is also a draft resolution.
So Greg, you were here on that whole parking conversation and you didn't come up and talk to us about it? I commend you for that because I just would have gotten ugly. So but
Yeah.
you're in front of us for adjustments to the
fees.
rates.
Yep. We haven't adjusted the fees at the waterfront in quite some time on dock fees, mooring fees. Everything's getting a little more expensive. We've got more of an expansive budget now with the new docks, fuel dock and employee costs. So this will bring in between 35 and 40 extra $1,000 into the budget next year. With this rate would take effect January 1st.
Greg, give the public, please, a couple of examples of what's the adjustments that are being made here.
All right, so residential dock fees will go from $60 to $65 a foot. Commercial fishermen just up to $46 a foot. Some of the bigger changes would be on the commercial moorings. For the commercial waterfront businesses, we would designate them as the Bristol Marine, Bristol Yacht Club, and Hareshoff. They're actually on the waterfront, actually doing the business. We keep them at a lower rate. And then we also have commercial moorings for residents and non-residents. And they're making quite a bit of money on the town at that rate. So we're just trying to bring it up and checking around with my other harbor masters throughout the state that have commercial moorings. That's where they're at as well. Winter dockage rates, we've been giving that away, and for what we collect on that, doesn't pay the power bill. So we wanted to adjust that to $20 a foot for residents and $30 a foot for non-residents.
And Greg, as a comparison to other communities, my understanding is we are significantly cheaper even with these adjustments, correct?
Yeah, we're very cheap. Recreational wise in Warren are at $75 a foot.
Compared to our
neighbors to the north in Warren.
I'm so sorry, and we're at 65 proposed, correct?
Yeah, 65
So
proposed.
we're still less expensive.
Yes.
With our brand new facility.
Yeah, I told the Carver Commission that we need to be at $75 a foot, but I don't think jumping up $15 was the right answer in 1 year, but we bring it up over the next 3 years to get up to comparatively. Transient rates, moorings, everybody in the harbor went up last year. No one told me. My fellow Marine partners at Hareshoff and Bristol Marine and the Yacht Club went up to $50. So no wonder we were very busy. $10 less. It means a lot to some people. And the dock rate, we're going to keep it, requesting to keep it at $4 a foot for another year. This year we'll have the power finally done, and it's a good pull in to bring more people in. And then
we'll see increased potential next year.
You'll see me in October next year.
Okay. All right. Questions from the council?
When was the last time we made adjustments to the?
2 years ago?
Was it 2 years? Okay.
2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to, like make a whole lot of sense is we're going to have, operations and maintenance costs as we always do. And, to, be able to generate some of those revenues from the people that are actually using it instead of spreading it across all taxpayers, I think is a good way of generating the revenue for that. So,
yes.
So we need to protect our investment, and these costs protect our investment, allow us to maintain, allow us to give us the money to, we have an additional resource, right, Greg? So that just provides money to cover that additional resource and ongoing updates with the harbor. So I'm definitely in support of the harbor master's recommendations for the new fee structure. So
the camera's moving all around. I'm so sorry, Greg, and I could see you kind of going up and down like this. That's what happened. So sorry, Tim.
No problem.
Fun to Eric earlier.
Yeah,
he
does.
Let's put on a filter.
That's
Okay.
right. They get a close shot on them.
Any other discussion in regards to the rates instead of age? No? Okay.
All right.
Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Greg. Thank you. And thank you to the Harbor Commission in combination with your efforts here. This was a reasonable and fair next step.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your
Thank
consideration.
Greg.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I should say too, that I don't know if we pointed this out, it was probably better brought up during discussion, but these numbers didn't come out of thin air. They came from the Harbor Commission, the Advisory Council, or the Harbor Commission recommendation.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is I4, and this is Director Williamson, and this is in regards to amendment to the grant agreement for the Prudence Island Ferry.
So it's turning into the Diane show.
Well, thank you. A whole row.
It's always a good show, Diane, by the way, when you get on. We like it.
And Greg can stay for this too. So the grant amendment, the only change is to increase the money to the Prudence Ferry Marine. They went out to bid. They got prices a little higher than they had hoped. So this additional funding will allow them to do the entire project, which includes on the Bristol side, repairing the dolphins, putting up a gate, and creating a little waiting area building. And then on On the Prudence Island side, they'll be doing some work on the dock over there. So the request, because we are facilitating the grant administration on behalf of A&R Marine, we're asking that the town council authorize the council chairman, Nathan Caloro, to sign the grant agreement along with the solicitor. And then once you do that, we'll send it back to the state and they'll get the town of Portsmouth to sign. And then they'll be on their way.
Perfect.
So.
Council?
Make a motion that we approve it or support it.
Second.
You're actually going to authorize the signature,
Yes.
authorize the chairman and the solicitor to sign the grant agreement.
So move.
Second.
Good answer. Discussion?
And Diane, I don't see any grant match requirements or anything here. So
There is
I think
no
that's
grant
worth
match,
pointing
no
out.
grant
So,
match.
yeah.
This grant is to A&R Marine from the state, but because they're a small, their job is to run the ferry. So we are helping them with all the paperwork side of it. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, though. No match.
So our signature, no money. Outstanding. Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Maybe my signature should come free.
Right, Mike.
Well, we're fast coming to that reappointment time of year, aren't we? Anywho.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the next item on the agenda is J1, and this is for RFQ 1021, the Bristol Municipal Career and Technical Academy Learn 365 Coordinator. We did have, actually, the bid opening was on October 17th. We did receive one bid for the RFQ, and that was for Craig Evans of 80 Aaron Avenue. There is no amount because it is, if you're going to ask,
We were.
there's no
thought it
amount.
was free.
Because the price and the terms and the conditions of that vendor was already required and provided by predetermined grant funding for that specific service. So that RFQ basically just determines who the best qualified applicant is to apply for that
Predetermined dollar.
predetermined dollar amount. So it's
Okay.
for a qualified applicant. Correct?
So,
Right.
so you're just looking for, on something like this, you're just determining who the most qualified person is to get the money that's
to-
already
The
predetermined.
money is already predetermined and I believe has already been granted. It's just to actually successfully do what is proposed inside of that
RFQ.
RFQ. So they just have to.
Will we be
So-
speaking English soon?
At some point. At some point. Not
Holy
yet.
goodness.
Can I just ask a question about
I
this?
will
barely
refer-
get these in front of us, so.
Mary?
That's a question.
Yeah.
I don't remember this coming up. So the Municipal Career and Technical Academy, is that what you're calling the Learn 365? Because, or is it different? Because I know when the article in the Phoenix, when 365 first came out and the town signed on, there were other, like, I forgot what the organizations were that were being brought in. But I wouldn't put them in as a career academy. So can you explain a little bit about that?
So the groups that you saw at the agreement signing, Herzog,
Roger Williams.
Bristol Warren Regional, they all have a representative board member. And they're working out of the Rogers Free Library now. So they're going to be taking this and they'll look at it and they'll actually make the appointment. But it's not a town job. This is a consultant. There's a set amount of money that was applied for in the grant. And the operations of approximately $50,000 a year. There is $1.6 million available for building improvements that would meet the needs, which are most appropriate for the library, which you'll be hearing about shortly. The library needs the second floor. The mezzanine area is still exposed and we never budgeted any funding for it. So the plan right now is to apply for we've applied for the funds to be used at Rogers Free Library to finish the mezzanine, to make that the study area for the Learn 365 Bristol Career and Technical Academy. That's kind of what the general overview. We're going to be doing a presentation to you shortly. We're just kind of trying to get this up running. The state wanted us to get it moving as quick as possible. So we're trying to get it up and going, started this school year. So I don't know if I answered your question, but
No, it was
if
just
you
a
have any
little-
other questions, I try again.
No, not right now. It just seemed different than what I had read about, like the way I was thinking about what Bristol was doing.
If I may, very similar, to Little Compton, what we're doing is the same thing. We are the physical agent, but the group operating, it's the community center, the Little Compton Community Center. The executive director is actually overseeing the grant, in our case, it's a smaller amount, and to the other point is we have to make improvements in the community center. So we've actually taken the community center learning funds, which is the second part of it, in order to improve, to accommodate the needs for the 50,000, or, for the programming.
No, I'm familiar with it. I mean, our school
Yeah.
department is
Are you
like,
doing
building-
that? Okay.
yeah, I mean, to some degree, like we are getting most of the money and then and some contracted with the Boys and Girls Club. But so I understand the concept of how it goes. I
Right.
just,
Oh, okay.
I just
Mhm.
envisioned this one from what I had read, it's being a little different, not like a career and technical academy.
Yeah, I think maybe our focus and our ambition was to improve the technical trades in Bristol. So we're trying to do that and at the same time meet all the elements of the grant requirements, which are raising the test scores and after-school studying and so forth. And a lot of the stuff's already being done at the library and a lot of the programming that they do there. So it's kind of early for me to tell you exactly what the curriculum is going to be because it hasn't been fully designed yet, but it's been we have done a preliminary application that meets all those elements, but the actual detailed curriculum and how this is going to be done, it's not done yet. The boards, they're going to get this person on board and start to organize it, and then you're going to be getting an update.
So what are organizations that are already doing after-school programs but have not been invited to participate here in Bristol? How could they get involved with this? Because one thing that concerns me about 365 in general is the lack of coordination with existing programs. And, so there's a lot of good that can come from it, but there's a lot of like, you don't want to be taking kids. You want to be, advancing and being able to serve more kids and more people and not saying like, oh, I get this program, this program, this program, we're all now competing. So I know one of the big after-school programs in this area is not been invited to participate in 365. I mean, I talk about it at meetings all the time for the Cozy Network, for example. And some of the Cozy people are involved in statewide, there are 10 sites. Some of us are involved, like my program will get some money in Pawtucket. Other people like in Bristol Warren schools in their Cozy, which provides after-school services for many children, don't even know anything about it, so they claim. And neither does the school department. So
No,
much so.
I got to stop you there. There's a board member on the Bristol Career Technical Academy. It's the assistant superintendent. So you're wrong there. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying,
I know you have a personal interest.
No, I'm just
in the
conveying, but I'm
Cozy
conveying
program,
to.
But we thought we brought in everyone in the community and we're not even up and running yet. So if
Well,
there
I'm
is
just
somebody,
conveying to
please
you
reach
what
out
is-
to me any day, Councilwoman Perrella. I'm in the office every day. Please don't wait for the next meeting. Reach out to me if there's an absence in representation. and
I'm just
time.
like bringing it up because I had, we brought it up at a Cozy Network meeting. I mean, just recently. So I'm just bringing that up to you. I mean, since this is on the agenda.
I'll reach out to the assistant superintendent. I'll find out why Cozy isn't involved.
Okay, thank you.
So we just need we need to refer this to, a motion to refer this to the administrator and Director of Community Development. Was your name on here, right? Or is it just the administrator? Mr. Administrator?
It's my department. Nick Toth has been helping with this grant application.
All right,
so-
well, how about if we just do the administrator and you can handle it in, okay. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the council, the last item on the agenda is Juan Mariscal, Chairman of the Bristol County Water Authority, Tri-Town Monthly Report for September 2023.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Motion made by Tim, seconded by Tony, receive and file. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Nothing on the solicitor? Excellent. All right, no executive session. So we just need a motion to,
Motion to adjourn to?
right? We didn't have executive session.
No, There were
Oh,
some
those are
meeting
minutes.
Oh, we did?
Those are the minutes
Right.
for approval.
So I had a motion from Tim. Is there a second?
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. It's 39 degrees outside.
Wow.
The weather is changing.
Yeah.
Bring your plants inside. Check on your neighbors. Get your shovels, shovels. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
All right, what is this big book for right here is what I want.